Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be talking once again about trail cameras and when you should start thinking about taking your cameras down. And in this video, we're going to be talking about 3 times in particular that you might want to take your cameras down and kind of the mindsets behind those times. And when it comes time to take your cameras down, I would say there's more than one right way to do it or more than one right time to do it. However, I would say that there is a wrong way to do it or a wrong time. And that's if you're planning on keeping your cameras out all year round. You should be taking your cameras down at some point following the hunting season, really just because if you don't, you're risking losing life on that camera. Although these cameras are built for the outdoors, it is still an electronic, and in electronic, moisture, freezing temperatures, those things do not mix well together. I know that they're sealed up pretty tight, but moisture is eventually going to get in there, and then all that freezing and thawing that takes place over the winter months is going to start to wear on your camera. So you're just going to risk losing life on your camera. They're not going to last nearly as long as if you were to take them in at some point at the end of the season. So what would be the earliest time that you might want to take your cameras down following the season? And really the earliest time would be immediately following the season. And why you might want to do this is if you're somebody that has property maybe 5 to 6 hours away, maybe you have a lease in a different state, and you don't really foresee yourself going down there anytime until spring to maybe do habitat work, start working on your food plots. You really don't want to be leaving your cameras up until, late March and April. Again, because of the wear and tear on your cameras, the longer you leave them out, the more wear and tear. So if my property was, 4 to 6 hours away, or maybe if I had a lease in a different state and I had cameras on those properties and I didn't really see myself going there anytime soon, I would probably pick up my cameras after the final hunt. Again, the cameras are eventually going to die. The cold weather drains those batteries, so they're just going to be sitting in the woods, not doing anything for you anyways. You might as well just take those cameras down, get them home, clean them out, take the batteries out, and just get them ready for next season. However, if your property is closer, or if you simply see yourself going there to do habitat work or just going there in general, then you might want to consider leaving your cameras out, and there's a few reasons why. And that brings me to the second time that you might want to start thinking about taking your cameras down. And that's late January or early February. And that's when I take a majority of my cameras down. So because I live on this property, it's literally my backyard, and the other property that I hunt on is about an hour and a half away, I tend to keep my cameras out a little bit longer. And the reason that you might want to leave your cameras out after the season ends is because you want confirmation as to which bucks that were using your property last year made it through and which bucks might not have. If you're pulling your cameras down in mid to late December, you really don't know which bucks made it and which bucks don't. Here in Michigan, the last day to hunt is January 1st, so by leaving my cameras out an additional month, I have a pretty good idea as to what bucks made it and what bucks probably did not. Seeing what bucks made it through the season not only is going to give you confidence for next year, but it's also going to kind of give you a little insight as to what their behavioral patterns are for next season. So if you have a lot of pictures or videos of a particular deer, not only is it fun just to have those pictures and videos, but you can learn a lot from that. Different deer have different personalities. Some deer are more shy, some deer are more aggressive. Some deer like to take certain trails over others. Some deer like to be out in the food plot. Some deer like to hang back. But if you know that buck survived, you can start going back to look at all those pictures and videos, create a folder on your computer, put them all in there, and try to figure out as much about that deer as you can for next year. So again, once I feel that I've let enough time pass to where I think most of the bucks that were using my property during the season have passed by one of my cameras, then I pull those cameras down and go review the cards. But I'm still leaving a few cameras up. Of the 20 cameras that we're running on several different properties, I think I'm leaving 5 cameras up. So I pulled 15 down, leaving 5 up. And that kind of brings me into the third time on when you should be taking your cameras down. When I'm going back to take down the final cameras on my property, it actually varies a little bit from year to year. And it varies for the same reason that I'm keeping them up. And that's because I'm leaving a few up to monitor when these deer are dropping their antlers. Now, I don't really have a whole lot of high hopes on this particular property that I'm going to be finding sheds. I'm back here way too much with my family, doing habitat work, just hanging out on the property, that I push a majority of the deer out of here. So I expect most of the bucks in this area to drop their antlers somewhere else. But they do every once in a while come through here at night, and if I notice on the camera that they've dropped an antler, then while I'm walking around, I'll kind of keep my eyes peeled a little bit more than I would otherwise. So if you're someone that loves to shed hunt, I would encourage you guys to leave your cameras up at least until the end of February, early March. By early March, mid-March, most of the deer have dropped their antlers by that point. You're going to have a few stubborn ones hanging on here or there, but for the most part, most of your bucks will have dropped by early to mid-March. So sometime in that time frame, I would be taking the rest of my cameras down, taking them back inside, taking the batteries out, taking the memory cards out, clean these cameras out, getting them ready to be put back out in the early summer. So again, there's not really one right time to take your cameras down. It really just depends on your personal situation, what your goals are. If you're someone that has property, really far away and you don't really see yourself going there, I would take your cameras down immediately following the season, just because you don't want your camera not working for you and sitting out in the elements. If you're someone that has property that's a little bit closer, or if you're gonna be doing habitat work, then I encourage you guys to leave your cameras out a little bit longer, just so you can get an inventory on what bucks survived so you can better plan for next season. But again, I would be taking most of my cameras down at the end of January, early February. However, I'm gonna be leaving a few cameras up to kind of monitor when these deer are gonna start shedding their antlers. But once I feel that most of the deer in the area have dropped their antlers, I am gonna take the cameras down, get them inside, clean them, get them ready to be put back out in the early summer. So hopefully that makes sense. If you guys do have any questions on trail cameras, or really any question in general, please drop those in the comment section below. I'll get back to those as soon as I can, and we will see you guys in the next video.